It is 5 in the morning, and I woke up thirsty as all knows what, and got out of bed and could not go to sleep. I had all these ideas and thoughts raging through my mind. And one of them in particular was this. And it revolves around our words and the power of what we speak and how we talk about things, what we speak, and speaking our truth and speaking reality into existence. And there's been a lot of talk about this in the self-help field in the past, several decades, and it's been a theme throughout for all probably since the Bible. Not that I can point to any specific verse, and the Bible is kind of mired also in a lot of hidden meaning depending on who you are, how you want to interpret it. I'm not partial to the Bible or anything, but I think it's an interesting way station for or reference point. I mean, you could say the same thing with the Quran or any other holy book, holy book. So what I just wanted to talk to you all about was, I'm reading this book by Caroline Mace called Sacred Contracts. It's a really good book. It's like a workbook kind of in long form. And I want to talk about the Genie Archetype one. And the Genie Archetype is, in Jungian psychology, represents, from what I've read, the unconscious. The guy's in a small container. He gets awoken. He comes out. Your wish is my command. What we are saying, everything we are thinking, how we are talking about things is what manifests in our life. And so, awakening that hidden, confined, that space in us that we feel so confined to, and then bringing out the genie into bringing our awareness to our unconscious, into what we believe, into how we speak about things, is taking that confining knowledge in ourselves, and it's bringing it out into the open and to be manifested. And so speaking and how we speak and the stories that we are telling ourselves at this point, we have a choice. We have a choice to rewrite your story's verse. Know now you do the unthinkable and rewrite your story's verse. You have the opportunity. And Florence Scovel Shinn, she's a mystic from the 20s, Christian mystic. And don't think that there's a theme here, because I have no affiliation with any religious entity or leaning. I was raised Catholic, so I know like biblical stuff more than the Quran, or more than the Upanishads from the Buddhism or anything like that, but or the Bhagavad Gita, but I love all those traditions, and hold my sovereignty, hold my own beliefs and integration of them. So take it or leave it. But what I wanted to say is, Florence Scovel Shinn, she said, your word is your wand. And it's so true, because not only do words have power, words have historical historical power. Words are our ancestors. You know, we are, that's why I say, now you do the unthinkable and rewrite your story's verse. Because when you go into sleep at night, when breath is taken deep and all bones retire into sleep, and it's talking about going within. It's talking about going within and changing from within, changing your, having this awakening inside. Excuse me. And and so know now you do the unthinkable and rewrite your story's verse. So yeah, your words are so powerful, and they, that's what etymologies are. Etymologies are the roots of words. You have the Romantic languages, and they have roots in Latin, and English has roots in Latin and Germanic. And if you study linguistics, it's all just like this web from older languages, from dead languages. It is a historical record of how we have talked over the millennia, and how we have talked. And you look at languages, and some languages don't even have words to describe certain things in other places of the world, or in that other cultures have, because of the way they look at things. The way we speak shapes our world. Okay. And so I just want to talk about something, my experience with words, and our opportunity to speak into existence, to change our story's verse, what we tell ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we show up is in direct correlation to the stories that we subscribe to. So when we want to empower ourselves, and we want to take back and rewrite our story's verse, and we want to take back our power, we have to rewrite a new narrative about ourselves. We have to realize a new potential, a new purpose, and with our words, with the way we speak about ourselves, the way we think about things. If you're constantly thinking negative things, if you're thinking woe is me, if you're thinking I can't do that, there is a lack of listening that is happening. And so that's another piece of this, is listening. So you need to awaken that subconscious by listening. And when you awaken that subconscious, and when you start to listen, and when you start to go within and not go without, you start to awaken that genie inside of you. That genie is expansive. It's possibility. You look towards the sky and you see infinity. You see out into the stars. You see possibility. All that is true can be seen in your eyes when you look towards the sky. That's because you are seeing into the infinite when you look up. And the same is true when you're able to speak from that place, when you're able to speak from a place of possibility instead of a place of confinement. Okay. And I'll never forget, before I left Detroit, my father told me, because I was like, I'm going to ride trains. I'm going to leave Detroit. Screw this place. I'm going to go squat in the city, because I knew that there was nothing there for me. And my story and my narrative wasn't one of victimhood, it was one of solution. It was one of anger because I knew what I was feeling. It was one of rebellion. And so a lot of us are feeling this, but there's so much social narrative. We think we can't express that. We think we're told we're bad because of the way we feel or the way we're acting. But the only reason why we're doing that is because that is our subconscious in confinement. And when we start to listen and we start to tune in, and we give ourselves the space and the nurturance, and we get into an environment that is able to give us the space and give us the safety to come out and experience and know ourselves in a deeper way and be able to listen without feeling confined, then our hearts begin to speak and we can hear them more clearly, and we begin to be able to listen to them. And listening to them, we are able to bring into the light instead of being in a victim story, instead of being confined, we are able to have enough energy to push out into the world. And that's what whatever difficult feelings or whatever ways you're having of coping that aren't working, that are maybe destructive, that's what they're trying to facilitate. It's trying to facilitate a birth, a growth, an expansion, a breaking out of, a breaking through. And all that is painful. Well, you've never heard, I have heard some women just pop a baby out and, they didn't even know that it was there. But most times when you're giving birth and there's contractions, there's labor. And so it takes a certain amount of, if you're in a very highly toxic situation like I was, where you're feeling confined, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of strength, a lot of emotional virility, fervor, anger, and the willingness to express yourself, the willingness to make those changes, to move forward, to listen. And that's what I did. My father, when I told him, I'm going to ride trains, I didn't care what he thought. I didn't care. I was at this point where I had been through so much garbage with my family that it was either I was going to do what I wanted. I was going to do what I knew, what I had to do. And also I was also a renegade. I was just out there, breaking all the rules. And I think what happened was that they were just hands off, this guy, there's so much unpredictability and there's so many different factors, there's so many mental health issues, and then there's so much instability, and so they didn't know what to do. And it was a very conservative upbringing and background. And so finally, with all the trouble that I had gotten into and then all the emotional issues, there was just okay, whatever, we can't do anything with this. And so at that time, there had been so much space created from all of that. There had been so much space created for all of that I was in a place where my dad was like, if you leave and you do that, you come back, things won't be the same. Yeah, well, I didn't want things to be the same. Up until that point, things had been the way they were and they sucked. And so I knew inside that not only, and it wasn't even a push against that. What it was my voice speaking inside of me, drawing me outward. What I knew I needed to do. what was drawing me, what was my passion. And my passion was to travel. My passion was to see the world, and my passion was adventure. And, riding trains, maybe that's not like, it wasn't like the, whatever. It is what it is. And it was a crazy experience, and I almost died several times, and it not, not safe. And I'm not telling you to go out and ride freight trains, but what I am telling you to do is you need to listen and listen to your body and do what it takes. If you're in a toxic situation, you need to have the courage and find the emotional support, find the stability outside of that situation to resource and change it. And you can be, it's amazing, the most creative solutions can happen. Like riding freight trains, or like my car gets totaled. And then I find a bicycle in my shed at my last house, and it's this nice old Trek mountain bike. And then I get a stimulus check, and I spend $600 on an e-bike kit, and now I go 45 miles an hour down the road on my bicycle, which can be dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but it works until, whatever happens with all that. So I just wanted to circle back around and say, you have choices. You always have choices. Make the choice to listen. Choose you. Go within. Don't go without. And keep going. The choices are in when you look up and you don't look at your feet. The choices are in when you choose to be vulnerable. When you look up, you are out here, not in here. And you choose to put yourself out there and ask for help. And you choose to make connections, and that vulnerability is the most beneficial. And we learn from our toxic situations and PTSD and all of that, whatever, that it's not safe. And so that's the growing edge. The growing edge is to push yourself gently, but to push yourself to find those and to listen, because the listening is going to surpass. You won't have to push against anything when you listen, because your body is just going to tell you naturally what you need to do. All right, so have a beautiful morning. It's 5:24 currently, and I hope you take this and go into your life and do the things you need to do and move forward, expand, grow, and see. Go now. You do the unthinkable and rewrite your story's verse. Peace.